All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started so we don't have to hold you in here for a long period of time. I've got a little bit of information that'll be on the slides today, so you're welcome to move if you're not able to see it. So we'll go through that. I'm going to open with a prayer real quick, and then we'll jump into it. Lord, thank you for this day, for all your blessings, Lord. We thank you for each and every one that's represented here. We just thank you for an opportunity to come together through this association, Lord, and give these students an opportunity to get out and enjoy something outdoors. Lord, we ask that you would be with each and every one here upcoming through this season. Just keep us safe as we go our separate ways today. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Josh Williams. I'll be serving as the president with ASA BFA this year. I want to start off with introducing and kind of giving you some personnel changes that we've had and introduce the ones that are here as well. So as our directors, we've got a few of these spots that are still open. Ashley is here with us as well. Over on the corner, if you don't know him, he's serving as District 1 Director as well as the Treasurer for the association. Kendra's in District 2 Director, is over here as well, and is serving as our Secretary this year. Other directors, Curtis will be in District 3 still. 4 and 5 is still open. 4 kind of covers a little bit under District 2, so you're kind of that Calhoun County and surrounding county areas. So if you'll happen to know someone in that area that would be interested in serving and working as a director, we would love to have someone come on board there. District 5 is still open. I'm serving in District 6. Barry Corbin, as most of you know, is still in District 7 and will be taking on a past president's role this year as well, and kind of helping me out as we kind of transition through some of the things this upcoming year. 8 and 9 we still got open, and just as of this past week, Joe Robinson will be taking over as District 10, so you'll be seeing him at some of our spring tournaments as well. He actually fished with ASA BFA 4 years through high school in Eufaula, and has graduated a couple years and was coming back to fill that role that's been open for the last year. So you'll kind of see him helping out in tournaments as well. So officer-wise, I'm serving as president this year. Curtis is in the vice president role. We talked about Ashley and Kendra. Lori's still doing our membership. We'll kind of talk a little bit about deadlines on that today. She'll be the one handling it. And then, of course, Mike Ford will be here with us as tournament director again for another year. All right, wanted to just hit these very quick. I know we talk a lot and you see a lot about sponsorships as we go through our meetings in the spring and our tournaments. And there's a reason that we do that. I'm going to show you that on the next slide. The reason that we're able to do what we're able to do as far as the amount that we give away in scholarships at the end of the year and for each tournament is because of these sponsors that we have. That's been some of them with us for a while now, but they do a really good job of ensuring that we can put on the tournaments that we do, we can give away the prizes that we have, and ultimately make sure that we're awarding scholarships to those. So won't call them out individually, you can see them, but most of these have been with us for years and always excited to come back and do it. Anytime you have an opportunity to do business with any of these companies, we ask you that you do that. As you're going in fishing tournaments, you take pictures, tag these sponsors in those posts. That's one thing that we get to go back to at this time of year as we're gearing up for another year and trying to find ways that we can add in different things, make the trail better. When we ask for sponsorship dollars, it makes an impact when that company has seen that ASA BFA anglers have tagged them in a variety of posts thanking them for sponsoring and giving us that opportunity. So try to do that as much as you can. On top of that, if you've got another business that you think would be a great partnership for us, feel free to reach out to any of those directors that we just mentioned and let them know that there's a company either that you work for that you know of in the area that you think would be great to partner with the association and is willing to do so. We'll be glad to make contact with those. Several of these sponsors that we have are some companies that are located in particular areas that either they served as a boat captain, a coach or something at one point in time, and even though they're not associated with it now, still pour into the association. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go back one slide. We have updated our website to where when you go to asabfa.com, if you click on association information and scroll all the way down to the bottom, every single one of these directors are listed there with their cell phone number and their email address. Okay, so when that comes up, whether you're in a particular area that you're looking to fish a tournament, you've got a sponsor that might be a good idea, you can easily get in contact with any of the officers or the directors through that page. Okay, as I was mentioning on scholarships, so if we kind of look, you got a dash that got stuck in there. If we kind of look at the last couple of years, we've averaged about $35,000 a year that we've paid out in scholarships. At this time of year, as students are enrolling in their universities, their technical programs, their colleges, they're going back and filling out those scholarship requests that we've given out over the last several years that they've been fishing with us. And this is about what we end up paying out. Some years it can be a little bit lower. Some years as high as $40,000 and $45,000 if we have a senior class that has won a lot over the course of the year. As we've added in this junior division, and we have anglers that start early and fish 5 and 6 years, the chances of that number going up over the year increases. And so our goal is to give as much as we can back to those student anglers. So if you look and compare and start looking at other trails, that's our goal, is that this number isn't touched, so that we're making sure that we're giving those anglers opportunities outside of fishing, but way to continue their education as well. So it's usually about $3,000 a tournament that we're giving out for the way they place. And then at the end of the year, we have a whole nother scholarship program that's just based off of an essay that the seniors write. Some information on this: if you've got anglers from your team that has won scholarships over the year, right now is a great time for them to be reaching out for us to pay those scholarships if they are enrolled in college or university. So to do that, if you look on the website, Kendra is actually handling that, so there'll be a form that they will fill out asking us to disperse their scholarships. We get a lot of questions about, hey, I won scholarship money back this time, how do I get that money? You fill out that form telling us your name, where you're going to school, your student number, and you email that over to Kendra, and then that starts the process where she goes through and verifies it. We get it to the treasurer, and they get that money sent to the school. So that's the process of going through. This upcoming year, my goal is to have the scholarship applications available for all your seniors in March. Okay, so that will come out in March. In April, we will have the results for those scholarships that we will do a media release of. These are the ones that are being awarded the scholarships. Our goal is to get that out before seniors start having their awards day at school. So if the school wants to recognize them and is able to recognize them, that they can be recognized in front of their senior class for that scholarship. So we'll do that. If you want one of the representatives from ASA BFA to come to awards day and present that, we can try to work that out as well. And then at our classic tournament and that pre-tournament meeting, we will recognize them officially that way. We don't want to wait to announce it at the classic so that they have an opportunity to be awarded on seniors day as well. So I think we have covered most of that there. All right, so important dates for this upcoming year. November the 1st is a big date. We've got several things going on November 1st. So like always, that's our membership deadline. Okay, so with the exception of new teams, all your members need to be in on November the 1st. In addition to that, we're going to add all these things on one date, so you just got that one date in your mind. Before that time, sometime in beginning of October, I'm going to send out all of our spring dates and allow you to go through that selection process. We'll talk about that in just a second when we get to the spring dates. We really need that November the 1st. It gives us a little time before Christmas to go through and look at the numbers and make sure that before Christmas break, each team is aware of where they're going to be fishing at come springtime. Okay, so that will be in there. All this stuff will be on the website. Links to it will be sent out in emails as well. So when you're doing your membership, there's a membership for anglers, for boat captains, and for coaches. We will pull those coaches' email, and that's where we'll be sending the reminders about, as a reminder, your membership is due coming up. As a reminder, your spring selection is coming up. So if you've got a couple people from your team that you want them to have that email and that information, make sure that you put their email in on that coach's membership form as well. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, But your classification that you're going to declare, so we talk about divisions, we're talking about senior versus junior division, your middle school and high school anglers. Classification, we're talking about large team, small team. Okay, we're going to go over some more information and show you how we're going to tweak that this year. You're going to declare that by November 1st as well. Okay, so November 1st is our big date. The only difference is for first year teams, we allow them an extra month and a half or so to get their membership in because they may be starting here in the fall and need a little bit of time to get that in. So we do have that extension, but otherwise after November the 1st, then there's a $50 late fee for anglers to join. There is no late fee for observers and boat captains because they can be added at any time. Go ahead.
What are the requirements for a first year team?
So the easiest thing to do, if you're going to be, if this is your first year, what school is it?
Rogers.
All right, Rogers. All right, so if you're going to be first year team, what I've had a couple other ones to do is just so that we're aware of it, that you're putting it together. Lori McKenzie is our person that does membership and data collection. So her email address is on the website. We can send her an email just saying, hey, we're going to have a team from Rogers this year. We're working on getting all this stuff put together. So that way we know to look for it. On our website, as early as, I'm hoping beginning this week, Monday, all of our membership forms will be updated. We'll have our angler, boat captain, observer, coach, all those membership forms will be on the website this week. So once you've done that, your first step is just go through and get your membership submitted online. So as you're submitting those, Lori will be able to see that we've got members being submitted from Rogers. Once you've got all your membership in, then you'll just send Lori another email that says Rogers has got all their membership in. She'll pull everything and send you an email showing everything that we see on our end to allow you to verify. Make sure that we're not missing someone for some reason. Once you verify that, then that will be your team roster and we'll get you invoiced for the membership. Okay, and that's got you officially set up through everything for what we're doing this year. Any other questions on the dates before I go?
Did you say December the 1st or December 15th for those new teams?
December 15th.
Okay, just making sure.
On the membership, is that something separate from all the kids being a member of Bassmasters to?
Yes, yeah, I'm gonna get into, we got a whole slide just
Okay.
on bass. So the membership we're talking about is the ASA BFA membership for them to be a part of our association, be under our, or covered under our liability and insurance on our end, and allow them to fish our tournaments. So yes, ASA BFA membership is different from that. Actually, the next slide. All right, so as always, in our spring tournaments, we are usually do it at our classic. We're awarded so many spots for students to move on and qualify to actually go on to fish the national championship. For those of you that don't know and haven't followed our page, one of our teams that qualified this year from Gardendale just finished this past weekend number 3 in the nation up there. So they qualified through ASA BFA and was able to go. So if you're going to do that, if you want to be have that opportunity, then you will go on and do a membership through Bassmasters as well. Go ahead, Ashley.
I just wanted to mention that this year, the representatives, we sent 4 teams from ASA BFA to the Bass Nation. So it really, from what Curtis has told us in the past, the more members that are Bass members, the more that we could push toward the national championship. So
Yeah,
this year was 4 teams that went.
Yep, that's how it's decided. So if you look at our 4 spots, we essentially had around the 150 boats, between 150 but not quite 200, that were registered through Bass. That's what gave us the 4 spots. So if we have more, if your teams decide to go on and do that as well, and we get up to 200 boats, then we get 5 spots and so on. We keep adding 1 boat for every 50, or 1 spot for every 50 boats. So that does go up based off of that. New this year that we haven't been able to do, so we've reached out with ASA BFA. We have our big spring qualifying tournaments where we typically qualify. Some of our fall trails have grown to the size where they're large enough to actually select qualifiers themselves. So the two right now that's that size is King of the Coosa, which Curtis runs out of District 3, and then the Three River Throwdown that me and Barry run together with our districts 6, 7, and 10 are large enough in size that we're actually going to be able to award spots in our fall trails this year for those two. So that's something we've been trying for a couple years to get to. If you end up being in the region, and some of you might be from Curtis's district, in District 3, the earlier you get that dual membership with ASA-BFA and Bass completed, then that's going to determine how many spots he can award in the fall time. Typically, a lot of our teams will wait until the end of the fall or on in the spring to do their Bass membership. If that's the case, that will hurt numbers in the fall. But we're going to look at it this year, and if we can make it work, if you're fishing the King of the Coosa, you have an opportunity, or the Three River Throwdown, to qualify for nationals there. And if not, you don't fall in those districts or whatever, you can still qualify through the springtime.
Is there any way you can incorporate that into the roster, when you're filling in that roster, that you could put either their Bass membership number in there, or that they're a member, and then you've automatically got that?
We can add a check mark where we're just asking if it's already been done. Since all of it gets paid, to someone else, we're not going to collect or charge for it. But we can have a very bottom part that just asks, hey, are you already a member? And that will kind of give us an idea.
See, I had 14 kids last year that were members, and they're not reflected in those numbers because I never passed those numbers.
Well, what we do on that is, in order to figure out for our spots, so once we get ready, typically to start our spring, and this year we'll have to do it twice, what we'll do is we take our entire membership roster, everybody that signed up with us, and we actually send it to Bassmaster, and then they verify and check. So as long as they were already paid by the time that we asked for how many spots we have, then they were counted. So we checked it that way. All right. So fall district tournaments. So this is going to be very similar to the way it was last year. Not a lot of changes here. Cost of the district tournament is $30 a boat. That will be paid in our fall district tournaments. Okay, these are set up and ran at the discretion of the directors. Okay, so they all may have something just slightly different about how they want you to pay or register. We're going to talk about the tournaments in just a second, but if you're in District 2, then Kendra is your director, so she will be the one to reach out to figure out how she prefers you to pay, how she prefers you to register, and so on. So all of those rules, the bag limits, the time weigh-in, that's all set in each district. No classification breakdowns between small and large teams. No division breakdowns for the most part. It's just everyone in the fall fishes together. These are more localized, usually smaller tournaments. Give the anglers, as you start your team, a chance to get out on the water and get ready for those spring qualifiers. We do ask, before you start fishing any of our tournaments, that all of your members go ahead and fill out our membership form. And we're going to try our best to attach that liability form that we used to have two separate documents for. Get those filled out before you fish the first tournament. Okay, so that's our biggest thing that we ask, even if it's not paid yet. Okay, if you're going to fish a tournament coming up that's in September, go ahead and fill out the membership. Go ahead and complete the liability form. We're fine if you wait until later on of October and send Lori an email saying my team's complete, please invoice me for it. It doesn't have to be paid before your first tournament, but we do need it filled out online, that your liability and release form and your membership. Okay, go ahead.
Does that go for captains and coaches that's still on the team from last year?
Yes, so everything starts over every year. So if they filled out a boat captain or a coach stuff from last year, your boat captains are still going to fill out another membership, letting us know that we have no way of knowing which ones are coming back. So yes, every boat captain, coach, angler fills out membership and liability forms each year. That lets us know the ones that will be here for this upcoming season. All right, we'll start in with the district tournaments. I won't stay long on these. So these are the tournaments for the fall. These are also posted now on the homepage of the website. So if you go to asabfa.com, the first thing you're going to see in green is every one of our districts. If you click on it, it will have the schedule there. So if you can't get a good picture here, Those are on the website. So District 1, got 3 tournaments, September 24th on Pickwick, October 29th on Wheeler. Ashley's the director here. Him and Kendra will be working together on this tournament. So that'll be a joint tournament between Districts 1 and 2. And then November the 12th on Wilson will be the 3 for District 1. Okay, District 2, these will be with Kendra. So here's the 4. October 1st at Gunnersville, October the 8th at Smith Lake, October 29th on Wheeler. That one's again ran with Ashley as a joint tournament. And then December the 10th on Wheeler. Okay, so there's the 4 for District 2. While we're going through these, each of you kind of fall in a district, but you are eligible to go and fish other districts. Okay, so for example, state championship this year is on Eufaula. So if you want to go fish Eufaula in the fall, just to familiarize yourself with the lake, you just need to reach out to the directors in that area. That will be me and Barry on that one, and Joe as well, and say, hey, I'm from Birmingham area, but I want to fish Eufaula in the fall. And then as long as we're not maxed out with our district, then you're allowed to come. Most of the ones won't max out, with the exception of some of the King of the Coosa ones. They get pretty large on some particular lakes. District 3, which is with Curtis, King of the Coosa, there's his 4 dates: September 24th on Weiss, October 15th on Logan Martin, November 12th on Lay Lake, and December the 3rd, Neely Henry. Got those? All right, District 4, 3 tournaments: September 17th, Logan Martin, October the 8th, Neely Henry, and November the 19th on Logan Martin will be those. And then the last one is Three River Throwdown, September 10th on Martin, October 8th on Eufaula, November 5th on Jordan, November 19th back on Martin, and December 10th, Logan Martin. Okay, so all these can be found on the website. That's all of our fall tournaments. If you want to go outside your districts, just make sure. Ashley may, for example, I don't know what he wants, but he may just say, shoot me an email if you're coming, whereas mine and Barry's district, we got a Google form that you go in and fill out. So just check ahead of time. More than likely, try to do it a week in advance like we do in the spring, and let those directors know that you're interested in coming so we can have the correct registration numbers. Yes, Barry?
Yeah, just for information, so in District 4, we don't have the director in place, so Curtis Gossett will be your contact for that.
Thank you. Yeah, District 4 is the one I mentioned that we're looking for someone, if you know someone willing to step in there. So Curtis is going to be the contact right now for that. All right, spring qualifiers. I know it's small on here, but it's on the website as well. So these are all the tournaments that will start in the springtime that will be our qualifiers for our state classic tournament. Okay, as you'll notice if you get the counting, it's different than in years past. We've always had 7 qualifiers and then a classic tournament, and out of the 7, you would pick 3 to fish and only could fish 3. That was your max. Okay, so we're going to do it a little different this year. Here's all your options. Okay, when I send out this lake selection to you at the beginning of October, that'll give you a month or so to fill out that selection that's due November the 1st. You're going to rank all of these. There's 7 qualifiers, and then the classic, it won't be on there to rank. That'll be just if you qualify. You will rank the rest of these 1 through 7 in the order that you would like to fish them. So if you could pick your 4 that you fish, you would rank those obviously in your top 4. This year, we are still going to carry your top 3 scores for your qualifying points to move on to state. However, you will be allowed to fish 4 tournaments. Okay? You get to drop your worst one. Okay, so what we're trying to alleviate is we had a Eufaula tournament a couple years ago that the flooding was horrible. Several weeks prior to that, we go into the tournament, the weather conditions are terrible, and there was only 1 team at that tournament with 180 boats that had at least 3 boats catch fish. So if you keep up with any of the points, if you've got, my team actually, we finished second that tournament, but I had 2 teams with it, and my 3rd boat didn't catch anything, so I got a 50 going on. So I got a trophy at my school for 2nd place at Eufaula, but that tournament killed us in qualifying for state. That was something we couldn't control. I know that's the world of fishing, you got to deal with those, but we're kind of building in a little bit of a buffer to where you can drop your worst tournament. You do not have to fish 4. You're fine, we're fine with you only fishing 3, but all of yours will count. Okay? Same situation set up as before. You will select these. They'll be due November the 1st. We will get back with you, verifying which lakes that you will be fishing. And once that is confirmed, you can't swap. Okay? Because we're looking at the numbers on it. If we have for some reason, let's take Lake Martin for example. If we've got 320 boats signed up for Lake Martin, that's too many. Okay, so we're going to take those that had that in their top priority and go there, and then we'll also do it. The only fair way I know to do it is the order that they were submitted in, if we have to go to that range. Okay, so if we got 2 teams and one team's got to go, and Lake Martin was their 7th choice, but it was the 2nd choice for the other team, that team that had it at number 2 will get it, and the one that had it somewhere else, will be bumped to another one. So we're not guaranteeing that you get your first 4 options. We got to kind of see how the numbers play out. Okay, I'm gonna stop here and answer any questions that we've got, how it will be set up. But the biggest change is you're fishing 4 if you want to. Only 3 points will go on. Okay, and you're allowed to drop your worst one out of there. Okay, questions?
You said something about a forum to declare what tournaments you want. If we, as a team, know what tournaments we're going with, say next week after our meeting, can we go and send that in, or do we have to wait on the forum?
Wait on the form, because it'll be on a Google Doc, so I can have all of the teams in the same Excel form at the end. We'll get that put together though and try to get it out before too long. But yeah, please fill it out on that Google Forms. I'll send that to the coaches in the email. We'll make an announcement on Facebook that it's out. The form will be online in the coaches portal as well once we get it ready. Question?
I have 2.
Okay.
1, Addie, I realize you're dropping the Forest tournament or whatever you go with the 4 route. How does that affect the points, and what will that do? What will that make the Classic look like? In other words, will it still be X number of boats?
Yes,
regardless?
so once we finish, all 7 of these have been fished. So we'll go through, we'll have the points from every single team that they'll have 4 tournaments worth. We'll go in and drop the lowest one, so you'll use your 3 best ones. At that point, it's no different than
Yeah, but
this
I mean,
year.
the point values aren't gonna change. It's
No.
400, 300.
First place would be 400 all the way through. So your 3, so if you get first place in every tournament you got angler 1, 2, and 3, you're looking at, you won't be quite 1,200, but close to 1,200. So, 36 would be the max that you could have, just shy of 3,600 points if you were 1, 2, and 3 in every tournament. So the points will still be, does that answer your questions? Okay.
I know it's probably just to ask, clarify, I know you talked about the forums that are due every year. Background checks are still a one-time thing, correct?
One-time thing, so it'll be just for the boat captain, that's their first time. Thank you for mentioning that. So that's on there as well. Once they've gone through the background check, then they're good. And so that will be when you finish your membership, that's one thing that we'll go through and check, is we'll take all your boat captains based off of that background check list to make sure we have we have a background check for all of them. And if not, we'll reach out to the coach and let you know you've got 2 captains that need to complete the background check. But yes, it's a one-time thing. Anything else on this?
You gonna do that November? Background checks?
We'll do it once membership is due. So if membership is due, November 1st, then everybody should have that in by then. We can do a couple of the teams earlier. If you go ahead and send us an email October 1st and says my membership's in, go ahead and invoice me. We may be able to check it then, but definitely by that November 1st deadline, we'll start on.
Can I add something?
Go
to
ahead.
that? So Lori is the membership director. Like Josh was saying, you go online and fill all that out. I'm the guy that actually sends you the invoice, so I do not get any direction to send you an invoice until you approve what Lori sends back. So it's an important step in this, that once you feel that all of your members have been entered, captains, coaches, all that, more so members, boat captains can be added anytime, but if you know what they are, go ahead and add them. You're good with all the online, ask her to send you the list, cause she can capture just whatever school you're representing here, send it to you, and you tell her, hey, I'm good, that's when the trigger gets pulled for me to send you guys the invoice. So, I know in the past, there's been some teams reach out, hey, I've never got my invoice, and it's like, well, I've never been told the invoice. So I just don't rip out the invoice until you go through that process of online entry, email Lori after you feel confident you're complete, approving the list, and then that's when the domino falls to get the invoice.
Yeah, coach initiates it to start off with. So the coach will initiate it, Lori will send it to you, and then the coach has to verify it. Until it's been verified, you won't get an invoice to get that paid. Okay, so we need that membership at least entered by November 1st, and then quickly after, we'll kind of go through that process. But go ahead and enter it early if you're fishing tournaments before there. We got a lot of district tournaments that occur before the deadline for membership.
And
Alright.
backing off of what you just said too, remember that before you fish a tournament, you need your membership in. Once you feel like you've got in, you don't have to wait for that November deadline. You can add up until then, but you don't have to wait to start the invoice process. As soon as you feel like you've got everybody in, let Lori know, and then the invoice can issue.
All right, so getting into a couple rule changes for this year. So we kind of already talked about this one. You're going to have 7 qualifying tournaments instead of 6, with the option to fish 4 instead of 3. If that's too many for you, you can still fish just your 3, just giving you that opportunity. So you're going to select which ones you want to fish. We will go through, in the years past, when we were doing it the previous way, we've almost been able to give everybody their first 3 lake selections every single time. This year, your top 2 or 3, we probably can still do that, but adding that 4th one in, we may get into, with numbers, you know, we're not gonna put 350 boats on there. So that's the one where if we've got a tournament that's there, we've gotta look at, you know, some people's gotta come off of it. Okay, so the priority will come, number 1, where does it rank on your list at? You know, if we've got somebody that, you know, Lake Martin's number 1 on their list, but it's number 4 on your list, we're gonna try to let them keep their number 1 before you keep your 4th one, because we've already awarded you more than likely your 1st and 2nd and 3rd, okay? If it comes down to, we got teams that's gotta go and it's, all of them are, got it as their 4th selection, we'll go by the priority in which they are submitted and turned in. So if that form comes out October 1, then it's kind of like the 2nd or 3rd tiebreaker, but ultimately that's the fairest way to, so we're not choosing which teams get it, is the rate that it comes in. So as coaches, go ahead and be kind of talking and discussing what you want your order to be, and if you know that, you can submit it as soon as that form comes out. 3 high scores will be completed. Team of the year will still be calculated based off of the 3 qualifying tournaments. That's your highest 3, and then the classic points. Okay. All right, another rule change. We're going to change the way we do blast-off violations. Okay, so we've tried one way for the last couple of years. Many of you kind of got used to that. Knowing that in some tournaments this created an issue when we're pulling people over and holding them to the very end. If we have a large amount of violations, some lakes we don't have a good area to stage that. It ends up being more dangerous with the ones coming through. And then we had to change the way that we were blasting the violators off as well. So we're trying to look for a safer way to do it, but also maintaining you know, the safety coming through the line. Okay, so before we get into that, I'll say this, because I've been one that's there, that's checking you, maybe been the one that's pulling some of you over. Okay, here's the reason that we're a stickler on, you know, I've heard people say it's only 1 buckle. Okay, I've got it zipped and I got the 2 bottom buckles, it's 1 buckle. The problem with that is, where do we as directors draw lines? Because if 1 buckle's fine, then 2 buckles is only 1 buckle more. And 3 buckles is only 1 more buckle than that. So we can always say it's just 1 more buckle. Okay, so we've got to decide somewhere to draw that line. So we drew the line at manufacturer's guidelines of everything. So I get it. I understand that you're just trying to get those kids out there. It's early. Sometimes it's windy and you're zipped and got 2 buckles and it's frustrating to get pulled over for 1 buckle. I get it. Okay. We do that because we've got to have a safety guideline somewhere. And again, the 2nd buckle is just 1 more, and so is the 3rd. Okay, so that's our stance, and that's why it's there. But we're going to try to change it up so that we at least make the punishment for violations equal across the board. Currently, if you're boat number 10 and you have a life jacket violation, you may sit there for an hour and 15 minutes while the last boat sits there for 10 minutes. Okay, it's not an equal punishment for it coming through. So the way we're gonna do it, and also try to keep you from being crowded up there, is on the violations, you'll still be pulled over. Same way, same thing. You'll be pulled off to the side, told what the violation is, and then get it corrected, okay? For high school division, let's start there. Violation is a 30-minute penalty on your weigh-in time, okay? But you can go immediately out. So that's kind of an average of what the penalty was. If you're in the first 20, that's a shorter violation. A shorter punishment. If you're one of the last ones, it's a little bit longer. Okay, but we're just going straight across the board. If you got a violation, it's a 30-minute penalty on your weigh-in time. If you got a life jacket boat captain that's not done, you pull over, you get it, tournament director will be there, and we'll have a sheet that says, all right, your boat number 10, you were supposed to be in at 2 o'clock, you got your violation fixed, go ahead and head out. You may be pulled over for 2 minutes, take off. Okay, you go ahead and go, now your weigh-in time's at 1:30. Okay, before you leave, you will be told what it is, your weigh-in time, but that's, as coaches, that's what we need your help with communicating. Okay, if you pulled over straight across the board, it don't matter if there's 1 violation or 5, if you get pulled over, it's a 30-minute earlier than what your card says. So the tournament director will make a note on there, boat 10's coming in at 1:30, and that will be to our check-in people, so you become late at 1:31. Okay, for our junior division, it's a 15-minute penalty. Okay, so everybody's penalty is the same. If you've got a blast-off violation, you got 15 minutes or 30 minutes. As soon as the violation is corrected, you can go. Okay, now if you've got an inflatable and it takes you an hour to get another life jacket there, and you've already served an hour penalty, you're still coming in 30 minutes early for your blast-off. Okay, the penalty time is coming in early, 15 or 30 minutes, but as soon as you fix the violation, you can go. Okay? Now I'm gonna stop there and give you a chance to ask questions to make sure we've got everything taken care of. Go ahead, Ashley.
I just want to say that at all the tournaments this past year, 95% of the infraction was a life jacket violation. And probably 90% of those were boat captains. So we're gonna rely on you guys as coaches to pass that word down to the responsible person in that boat to make sure, one, they're setting the right example with the life jacket. So the anglers, but after everybody was gone, we'd stand around and talk about it, about what was the biggest infraction. It's 95% of the time life jackets, where it's not zipped all the way to the top, or one of the buckles is not buckled, and just on average, probably 90% is the responsible adult in that boat causing the infraction to be pulled out of line.
Okay, those of you that are new, it's your first year, things we check coming off of the blast off line, that all 3 anglers have. We had boat captains this year that told us, I thought the inflatables was just for the anglers. It's for all 3 of you. So the old traditional style life jacket, buckled zip, everything that can possibly be done by manufacturer's guidelines, kill switch hooked up, lights on and front and back, and your live wells open and running. Okay, that's what we're checking as you come through. Okay. Any questions on this, on violations, how we're handling those this year? Okay, please get that to your boat captains as
So
well.
the life jackets are more the old style life jackets, not like the fishermen use, it just inflates if it hits the water?
Yeah, so none of the inflatables at all. Whether it's water detected, whether it's the pool, no inflatables at all. It's gotta be one that if you come out of the boat and you're knocked unconscious coming out, that we're not worried about it inflating based off of water or someone pulling it for you. Any other questions on that? Last thing I'll mention about blast off, we did a lot better job this year, and our boat captains and teams did a lot better as well, of trying to be in the water prior to safe line. Okay, one of the most frustrating things over the years that we've heard from boat captains is I get up super early, I get to the water at 3 a.m. and get in at 4 a.m. depending on what safe light is at that time of year. I sit there for 2 hours, and then we get the safe light, we ought to be fishing, and we can't because we got a lot of people still trying to put in. Okay, so Mike's taking the role of having to shut the ramp down sometimes when we're in a particular location for safety, where when we blast off, we have to pass that ramp. Okay, so we'll use Lake Martin for example. Lake Martin, you can still put in while we're blasting, that's no problem. Okay, so we're not gonna shut the ramp down on every lake, but there are particular situations where we're not gonna punish those that got there early and that had their stuff ready by limiting their fishing time for those that are still trying to get in, okay? We've heard all the stories of, you know, I've been here in line for an hour and a half, okay? And I understand, I've been in that line before too, so I know what it's like. It's up to each individual team and the boat captains coming into each tournament to realize how many people are gonna be on the water, and based off of that and the capacity of the ramp, what time I need to be there. Okay, we need to try, and our classic was the perfect example. Okay, it was one of the best ones that we've had, where 5 to 10 minutes after Safe Light, we were going all 3 days. Okay, it was great. We had plenty of time to fish. It's not been the case in some situations. So the last one, we know it's a long day already, but try to get there as early as you can so that we can blast off as soon as possible. And the last portion of that is try in the spring especially to align yourself based off your boat number. We've been finishing the national anthem ready to blast, and we got boat 220 with all 3 people in it sitting 30 foot from the very front. Okay, you've got 45 minutes before you gotta go. Try to go to the back. I know it's a lot easier sometimes to tie up and then to be out there in the back floating, but you cause an issue with boats coming by. When it's your turn, you've got to back out and go. It just creates havoc for the whole blast off process. So each morning, you got your boat numbers, you know, prior to the night before. So you know what your boat number is before you get there. Go ahead, if you're in that top 20 to 30, get up there at the front. You know, there's a lot of times where boat number, 2 or 3 will come by 40 minutes later. I've been trying to get up here, there's so much traffic. Your boat number 3, like you knew you were gonna be in the front. Go ahead and come up there. Same way if you're 150, go to the back. That cuts down on accidents with people trying to weave in and out of people. Try to help us with that, and please share that with your boat captains. That's our biggest thing on blast off, is trying to make it smooth and make sure that we don't have people running into each other. All right, junior division, kind of hit highlights of this. You know, that's grades 6 through 8. Junior division still going to blast off after the seniors, come in before time. So the number of entries kind of dictate times on that. The classic, okay, the final tournament. So teams must fish at least 3 of them, okay, is what we're shooting for, of the spring tournaments to qualify, but they can move up 1 time to the senior division and still come fish the junior division for the classic. Okay, 1 time. If a junior division angler moves up to the high school level, the senior division, 2 times, he's then a high school angler. Okay, if he can't fish high school the whole year and then come back to the state championship on the classic and go and fish in the junior division. Okay, he can move up 1 time to kind of help your team out if you got someone missing. After that, he's permanently on that level. And then the classic this year, we're kind of tweaking it since we've moved to a 3-day tournament. We tried it one way this year. We're going to try it different this year. Juniors will fish 1 day still by themselves. The tournament won't be going on for the senior division, but they're going to fish on Thursday instead of Saturday. Okay, so this past year they fished on the last day, but they're still going to have a day to themselves where the seniors will not have an official tournament going on for that particular day. All right, senior division, grades 7th through 12th, so your 7th and 8th graders can go either way. Seniors will go blast off first. Number of times or entries will dictate their weigh-in time. For the classic, you need to have 3 of your tournaments in the spring fish, so we can use that to get your qualifying points. Seniors at the classic will fish on Friday and Saturday. Okay, we are going to allow seniors to pre-fish, but we're going to ask that they're not in the vicinity and the area that our juniors are blasting and weighing off of. Okay, and I can give you more details on that. So this is the part we're going to get into that's going to be a little different this year, that we're changing on the senior division. This past year, for the first time, we added in our classification. So you had your small school and your large school classification, where you had your private through 3A, that was your smaller ones. You had 4 through 7A, that was your large schools, where the large couldn't move down, but the small teams can move up. Okay? So we're going to tweak that just a little bit. So on your classification breakdown, Okay? We're gonna change it from the school terminologies for right now to small team and large team. I know it's a little bit small. So when you're small team, this means you have to have a minimum of 2 boats or 4 anglers. Okay? Minimum of 2 boats and 4 anglers, but a maximum of 4 boats. You can have more on the team, I guess, but maximum of 4 fishing. Okay, so if you've got 5 or 6 boats that you want to fish in the spring, you've got to go to the large team division. Top 2 boats that we'll pull for the team score. Large team, you've got to have a minimum of 3 boats, but up to 6 can fish. So on this small team classification, in order to get your team score, we're taking your best 2 finishing boats. Large team division, we're taking your best 3 boats. Okay? So that's on the second bullet point. Here's where we're doing the change at a request from a lot of coaches and discussion we had this year. We're going to allow the schools to declare their classification and not do it based off the breakdown of actual school size. Okay, so the classifications are not based on school size, it's based on fishing team size. Okay, we've got larger schools that are just trying to get started or trying to survive as a team that may only have 2 or 3 boats with a max of 4 boats, and that's all they can get. And we're requiring those teams, first year team that may be a 4 or 5A school, to go and fish that large school division, and they've only got 3 boats. It's their first year getting in. Okay, so we're going to allow you to declare classifications. Okay, here's how that's going to work. On November 1st, that's our date for a lot of things. When you fill out your lake selection, and you're going to tell me which order you want your 7 lakes picked, one of the first things up there under your team name is you're going to decide whether you're going to be the large or smaller classification. Okay? Once you select that, and we begin fishing in the spring, that cannot change. Okay, so you can't fish for one division, lose some boats and decide to go down. You can't gain any, decide to go up, any of that. Once you declare, that's where you're at. Okay, so we can have our numbers worked out for each of the divisions. Okay, by doing this, those new schools coming in and those larger schools that right now don't have a fishing team, we're allowing those anglers to get on the water and still participate. So you're still competing against the same size. If you're in that small team classification, regardless of the size of your school, the max you can have is 4 boats. The minimum you can have is 2. Okay, so you're really declaring based off of your team size. Large, okay, if you're fishing that classification, then you're going to be having 3 of your scores counted. You can bring up to, I guess 3 would be your minimum if you want a team score, and then up to 6. Okay, so I'm sure we got a lot of questions on that. I'll take whatever questions you got before we move on as far as the way that's going to be done and how it's going to be declared and set up.
Same rules apply as always as far as if I'm in the small team and let's say I fish 1 tournament with 4 boats and 2 to 3, then I'm held to 3 in the classic, right?
You're given a 1 tournament grace period. So what we'll take, let's say you're fishing your 4 tournaments and you fish your max in the small school division of 4 boats in every tournament except for 1, but based off of sickness or something else, that one only has 2, then you get to bring 4 boats to the classic. But if you have 2 tournaments, which is that way, then you go to that number. Or if you have, you get fishing 4 tournaments. So if your first 2 tournaments you fish 4, then you've got 3, then you've got 2, you get to drop the 2 as your 1 as you go, but you go back down to 3 because you're up. So 1 tournament grace period on that. Say that again.
Is that grace period for the tournament if it's the senior or the large team?
Yes, yeah, that's the cross the board on the senior division. The numbers that you bring is based off of how much you bring to each tournament. So you can't fish, let's go to large school. You bring 6 to the first tournament, and then the rest of the tournaments you fish 3, but you qualify. You can't bring 6 to the classic, man. Your team that you qualified with was really 3 boats. That's what you get to bring. Okay, other questions on this?
So the 6
Just
boats.
please note, your team's not cut off at 6 boats. He's talking about
What-
tournament day.
What you're eligible to fish on, yeah.
4 boats max on the small thing. You can have as many anglers on your changes at all. It's just whether you clarify or, state which division you want to be in on November 1.
You also can have the team where you have a junior team and a senior team.
Yes, if you're a large school and you're gonna have a junior and a senior, you could essentially bring 6 to the junior division, 6 to the, large team division on the high school or senior side. All right, if you think of any other questions on this, we can go back at the end, the very last slides, get questions again. So if you got things that come up, I'm almost done anyways. Hell, I'll go to them. All right, pre-tournament meetings, we're going to keep those the way that we've done the last year or so. Kind of giving you a little bit of flexibility without having to come the night before and actually be in person. So all except for the Classic will be a virtual pre-tournament meeting. We've been doing those at Monday night, 6 o'clock the week of the tournament. That will stay the same, okay? The Classic, we will have some form of an in-person meeting that will allow us to give out the senior rods like we've been doing and get pictures with those. It will allow us to recognize the scholarship winners and kind of work through those things. So we'll get you details as that comes up. We're still working on some of those, but we will have a in-person meeting for the Classic. The rest of them will be all on Monday night at 6 o'clock. That will be live. We're looking at a couple different scenarios on doing those meetings so that you can access it a variety of ways through Facebook, through the website, through an email link. So as we know, there's certain people that don't have access to particular social media sites or the website. So we're trying to get that out so that all boat captains can be aware of that. So please have your captains pay attention and go through and watch those meetings. It will be live and recorded, so that if they can't make it at live, they can go back and watch it before that tournament. Majority of the questions or the issues we have on tournament day are things that were addressed directly in that meeting. And we can about determine the percentage of people that watched it based off the questions we're getting phone calls the morning of and the night before about off limits. Okay, that's addressed every single tournament specific to that tournament in that meeting. If anything changes, okay, whatever we go through, and we're going to give you updates in that meeting on Monday night that's tournament specific. This is where you need to stage. This is what time you need to be in there, whether we're cutting the ramp off, whether we've got X, Y, and Z occurring. If anything changes from that meeting, then that will be announced that morning of the tournament multiple times. If it's something we know ahead of time that has to be something larger changed, coaches, boat captains, everybody will get notified of that. So whatever we go over in that particular meeting kind of sets the precedence for that tournament and the rules that's going to be followed. Okay? So it'll be live and both recorded. Any questions on that? Okay.
Echo with what you said, you asked for them to make sure that the coaches, the boat captain watch. You as coaches should probably watch too. Just a suggestion. My number one question was, where and when is pickup for our packets?
Yeah. It's always in that meeting.
One of the first things we talked about. So it tells me right off the bat, you watch.
Yeah. And that's one thing we considered. You know, we sent out a survey asking on our end of the year, you know, as coaches, do y'all want to go back to the in-person meetings or online? Online's more convenient for everyone, but the amount of information that's getting shared through those online platforms versus the other ones is absolutely horrible. You know, we don't want to go back to we're having to find a venue. We get people there the night before. You got to sign in, so we make sure that you got 80% of your team there. But the reason all that was implemented was for a tournament that's got 250 boats, we can get everybody the information at one time, and we're not trying to field 200 phone calls and everybody operating on different information. So we love the online platform. Please get, you know, whether it's live or recorded, that information. You as a coach can even watch it yourself and then have a team meeting where you disperse the information if that's the way you choose to do it. But please help us with that so that we can cut that down. Packet pickup will still do the same. Here's the reason we have a lot of questions on this. Why can't we get our numbers the morning up? Okay? A large tournament like we run in the spring, time you count in juniors and seniors, easily an average between 200 and 250 boats. We've got people setting up sound systems. We've got people setting up the weigh-in process. We got people helping direct traffic. We've got directors that are helping people get in the water and get unhooked. It's just another person that we've got to have to come and sit in and go through all of those boat numbers and figuring out how that's going to be done. Plus, Lori, our data person, she has to have every angler put in ahead of time on that tournament software so that our weigh-in process runs smoothly. So if you're not picking up and making your changes to the morning of, it gives her very little time. Lori goes back at night after packet pickup and sits in the hotel or her house, wherever we're at, and makes all the changes that you as coaches give her. Okay, we don't have time to do that the morning of for the size that we are. So we have that window. Okay, so every tournament you're going to know, we give you the location and the time in that pre-tournament meeting. That Friday night, usually the 5:30 to 6 time frame. It can be anybody that you as a coach choose to go and get that. Okay, most of the time, and I understand that the worst case scenario are the times that you only live 45 minutes away and you're not staying in a hotel in town, and you're just driving over that morning. Somebody's got to make that 45-minute trip. I realize that, but in the grand scheme of things, when we're looking at as an association as a whole and how to make things run smoothly, that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so we'll still do that packet pickup one before. All right, I think that's all that I've got. As always, we appreciate you taking the opportunity to fish with us. We know there's a lot of different options out there. One thing I will mention, at the conclusion of each year, it's usually the week after the Classic or soon after. This year we did it a little before the Classic. We always send out an email for the coaches asking for your response on various areas. We ask about particular things, and then we just give you an open area to express some concerns that you have, different rule changes you want to see. We actually look at every single one of those individually each summer and have a discussion about things that we can change. Okay, for example, the A-rig stuff that was outlawed for years. That was something that occurred several years based off the recommendation from coaches. We met. That's now we're able to use that term. So we truly look at those surveys. Each year, and Barry, you probably give a better number than I have, it's something like 20 to 30% response rate on that. So 20% of all the coaches are voicing some of our decisions and rule changes. A lot of the rule changes you see here came off of requests from coaches to consider a particular option that we met, and sometimes they've even reached out to those coaches and said, tell me why this is an issue, or what you'd like to see and why, and then we try to figure it out. So please take that time this next year to go through, even if you skip all of our questions and just go put a comment in the last one. Give us something if there's particular areas, and we do that because we know that there's different associations that you can fish with. Obviously, we can't make everyone happy in every particular area, but we truly do discuss each thing and try to decide what's best for the association each time. So please take the time to do that. We appreciate you fishing with us. If we can ever help in anything, let us know. Other than that, I'll open it up for any questions. If we don't have any, that's all that I have. You're welcome to hang around if you've got questions you just want to ask us individually, and we'll get those addressed as well. Okay, so any questions for the group? Go ahead.
On your membership and liability release form, they filled out online, when is that gonna be open, that tab? When can
I'm
they-
hoping as of Monday, but definitely this week. Okay, so before this weekend, it will be, all of those will be updated and on the coaches portal online. We're working on them now.
So when you do get that tab fixed, when you do fill out that, whatever form it is,
Right.
do you get a response back from the individual who turned it in that did receive it?
So what, it will send you an email, on the, it doesn't on the membership, on your, I think on the tournament registration when it does. So the reason it doesn't on your membership is you may have coaches, boat captains. Ideally, you have your team meet together and do it at one time, but if not, if you've got coaches and anglers and stuff doing it, you would end up getting 30, 40 emails every time they submit them. So what you would do is, as a coach, when you see those, you let my team, we meet together and do it at one time. But otherwise, you have each of them let you know when they filled it out. That way you're not getting 30, 40 emails in response.
I just didn't know if the individual himself who was filling out.
I don't think they will. Now, it will say,
You just sat there.
once you hit it, submit, it will pop up and tell you, thank you for
Okay.
submitting and it's received, but it won't send you an email about it. And then once everything's done, that's where the coach will then initiate saying that. The only one that you get a reply back from is when you do registration for a tournament, letting you know that you've got that you have registered for a tournament and that an invoice will be bought.
So it doesn't let you know if your handlers have,
Yeah.
or your boat captains have each individual put it in. So what I do, and I've been doing this for a little bit, it's just easier for me, I just make out a form and send it to them, all the questions that that form's gonna ask, and then I go in and put it myself, and that way I know it's in there. So it's just easier for me, cause I know that my boat captains are in there, I know that my handlers are in there. I mean, it might take a little more time, but it's peace of mind, it's in there.
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. We have a team meeting where students, like my school, we are one-to-one, so they've got the Chromebooks and they bring them and sit down in the lunchroom and we go through and everyone puts it in. So when I leave that night, I know everyone that's at that meeting has got it submitted and I only gotta reach out to the ones that haven't submitted.
And if you request a sheet from Lori, she'll send it to you.
Yeah, she'll send it anytime. So if you wanna see who didn't get it after you send it out for a week, you can email Lori. She'll send you everything that you've got, and then based off of that, you can see, okay, I've still got 2 anglers that haven't submitted their membership. All right, any other questions? All right, I'm free to hang around as long as you need stuff. I appreciate your time this afternoon to come out. As always, reach out to us if you've got anything that you think of before then, and we're looking forward to another good year. Yeah. Okay.